I've noticed recently among friends and family members, as well as more broadly in the culture, that there is a pronounced increase in the degree to which conspiratorial theories in particular and paranoid theories are propagating on the right. I think, now I don't know much about QAnon. I've been out of the loop, and I should be more on top of that, but I'm not. But I do know that it's popular and pervasive. And I do know that Trump's claims to have won the election are supported by a network of conspiratorial thinking. I was speaking with Douglas Murray about that, and you tell me what you think about this. This is sort of the conclusion of our discussion, was that, so Trump claims that he lost or that he won the election, and actually that he won it by a substantial margin. That's the claims as far as I've been able to understand them. And then to believe that, this is what you have to believe. You have to believe that the electoral system in the United States is broken to the degree that fraud is widespread and pervasive and of sufficient magnitude to move an election. You have to believe that people as close to Trump as Mike Pence have become part of a conspiratorial network or have been shut down by people who are able to put sufficient pressure on him. You have to believe that the judiciary in the United States, which I believe has ruled something like 60 times against his claims and 1 time in favor, you have to believe that it's become uncontrollably corrupt, even on the Republican side, even when those Republicans were nominated by Trump or Trump's people. And you have to believe that the only person standing on moral high ground through all of this has been Trump. And each of those propositions seems to me to have a low probability of truth, and their combined probability is infinitesimally small. So, but there's widespread support for Trump's claims that he won the election and was robbed of it. And so someone who is looking at your book, especially from a leftist perspective, would say, well, not only are you concentrating on the wrong side of the equation with regards to clear and present danger, but the omission of analysis of conspiratorial thinking on the right shows a blind spot that is of sufficient magnitude to threaten the stability of society. Now, not to say that you're personally responsible for that by any stretch of the imagination, but see, I've really been thinking about this because I have felt as an academic that the greatest threat to my scientific inquiry and to my free inquiry and to my students for that matter, has clearly come from the left. But there's no doubt that conspiratorial thinking is on the increase on the right. I mean, I knew that was going to happen 5 years ago, and that's partly the sorts of warnings that I was trying to put out, that with enough cage rattling, the right was going to wake up. But I'll let you comment on that.
So to go back, I guess, to reiterate what I said earlier, but in a slightly different way, I think the argument that you're making is that the susceptibility to believe BS, there's actually now a psychometric scale, which perhaps you're aware of, that actually measures susceptibility to BS. It's actually published, I think, in the journal called Judgment and Decision Making, and there's been several follow-ups of that work. So really looking at our ability to believe nonsense using a psychometric scale, all I think that you are demonstrating in the question that you're posing is that the capacity for people to think in non-critical ways is not restricted to a political aisle. The left can be anti-scientific, the right can be anti-scientific. The left can succumb to idea pathogens, the right can succumb to idea pathogens. In chapter 6 of my book, I talk about a particular cognitive malady, which I coined as ostrich parasitic syndrome. I think ostrich parasitic syndrome is something that all people can succumb to. By the way, not only the left and the right can succumb to ostrich parasitic syndrome. Being highly educated and otherwise intelligent does not inoculate you from many of these cognitive distortions and irrational ways of thinking. So you would typically think, oh, well, professors who are in the business of, critically thinking would be the ones who might be immune from this. And meanwhile, as I describe in the book, the ones who spawn all of this nonsense are typically professors. So again, to reiterate, I truly don't think that it is a political statement to argue that people can think irrationally. I simply chose to focus on the left because, as you said, that's the world that I inhabit. That's the